Let me show you some things. First, I'm going to start by showing you Lally, opening statements, the beginning of trial some 7 or so weeks ago, when he told us that Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe at 12:45 in the morning. Listen, because the time has changed. It's now 12:30, but you know.
Back the vehicle up based on its known locations and travel. He cycles and essentially opines, he'll opine that around 12:45 in the morning, when the vehicle was in front of the residence on Fairview, that for some perceptible period of time, that vehicle travels over 60 feet in reverse at over approximately 24.2 miles per hour.
So that was opening statement, which has not come true. Now he's telling us it's 12:30 that it happened. But another thing happened that Lally just told us today, and the day before he hands his case over to the defense, was that Karen Reed connected to John O'Keefe's Wi-Fi at 12:36 in the morning. I didn't know that. Did you know that? That really tightens this timeline. I think we should work backwards and see if it makes sense.
You had testified on direct examination that Karen Reed's phone connected to the Wi-Fi at 1 Meadows Ave at approximately 12:36 in the morning?
Yes, sir.
So you can testify based on that by 12:36 in the morning, Karen Reed was not at 34 Fairview, correct?
That's correct.
Matter of fact, you texted as soon as you saw the vehicle, that 12:27 here, correct?
Correct.
And then a few minutes later, at 12:31, you texted, "Pull behind me," to John. Is that right?
Correct.
And then at 12:40, you texted, "Hello," correct?
Correct.
And at 12:42, you texted, "Where are you?"
Correct.
And at 12:45, you texted, "Hello," correct?
Correct.
No one at 34 Fairview, including Jennifer McCabe, could have witnessed Karen Reed outside that residence at 12:45 a.m., correct?
No, I don't believe so.
So you agree with me? No one could have, including Jennifer McCabe, could have seen her at 12:45 at 34 Fairview?
As I said, she auto connects to the Wi-Fi at 12:36, so no, she wouldn't have been there.
All right. Now,
Now we'll hear from today, Trooper Garina telling us the last known location of John O'Keefe's phone, where they were, how they turned around, and how that relates to what we heard a few days ago regarding Trooper Paul's testimony on the 2 trigger events.
The plotted points I did through Google Earth, the maps, and then through LexisNexis, the track system, the GPS range and coordinates. There's a couple of points there listed. And then right around here is when the GPS tracks go, and their route, once Waze is activated, down to 34 Fairview. There is a zoomed in version of by Fairview.
What time frame and what GPS point are we looking at in this one?
This is 12:25 and 34 seconds. Again, same thing right there, the corner of 34 Fairview and 32 Fairview.
Gentlemen, if I could have the next slide, please. Trooper Garino, this is the same GPS point number 315, 12:25 and 34 seconds. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, this is a second map I created with the Cellbrite locations from their native locations. The previous one was from Axiom. So I used both programs to map it. This is from the Waze app. They're tracked from 34 to 34 Fairview, down Cedar Crest, again, returning back here. So that's just the bottom half. I just wanted to get a closer view of where the GPS plots were from Cellbrite.
And again, sir, if you could explain to the jury what we're looking at in this slide.
So the purple dots are the GPS points and the route taken. As I said, goes up to, I believe that's 51 Cedar Crest, and then reverses back. And then this is the final point. It's right here. 34 Fairview is right here. There's a little yellow push pin on it. This timestamp is 12:19 and 32 seconds. That's when the phone initially starts creating the GPS points before Waze is activated with 34 Fairview searched. So this looks to be the time Waze is actually opened up.
What is your belief as to where the vehicle was when those two events, being the three-point turn and the backup straight for approximately 60 some odd feet, where did those occur within the travel path of the defendant's vehicle?
So the first one with the three-point turn, in this case, it appeared to be possibly on to, it was a Cedar Crest, which, because we know based on testimonies that she missed the exit to Fairview and had to make a U-turn onto Cedar Crest, and that would make sense to why they would occur with close proximity to each other. They're within the same odometer mileage and on the same key cycle.
And so that first 24.2 miles per hour for 60 some odd feet, where would that have occurred geographically from your review of the odometer reading?
It should occur probably on Fairview.
And you said that it's, quote, it's likely that the two events, meaning the triggering events, occurred at the same time the Lexus was at 34 Fairview at the time of the collision, correct?
Yes.
The first triggering event was what? Was it a three-point turn or a U-turn? I thought I heard you say both.
I guess it would be more, 3-point turns, essentially, I guess it's a 3-point turn.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did you say U-turn on Friday? I just want to know that.
It could have been a U-turn. I mean, it's still turning around, so you had to make a U-turn when that's a 3-point turn or not, but it's still.
I didn't say that. You said U-turn. So are you changing your testimony from Friday that it was a 3-point turn, or could it possibly have been a U-turn?
It's a 3-point turn.
Okay, because you have evidence of the starting, stopping, changing gears, reversing, stopping, changing gears, turning.
That's correct.
So when you said U-turn, that was inaccurate.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
I'm sure by now you figured out why this matters, but to Trooper Paul, this route you're seeing right in front of you that was mapped out today by Trooper Guarino, or whatever his name was, this is the infamous key cycle 1162 according to them. So he's saying that they went up, did the 3-point or U-turn. It's a U-turn according to GPS. It's a 3-point turn according to what the 1162 key cycle trigger was. That shows a 3-point turn event with brakes and all that. That's not showing here. This is really sensitive, and I'm sure you saw in the screens in the testimony how sensitive those arrows were. John O'Keefe was in the car, so his phone was giving very accurate arrows. As a matter of fact, let me add another screen. So every time he moved, his GPS sent out a signal. Every little arrow, it shows you the direction he was facing. At this point in testimony, I was like, why did Karen drive onto the grass? I'm like, oh, she didn't. This is when he gets out of the car. This is just following him. So in the 3-point turn, if there had actually been a 3-point turn occurring at that time, there would be arrows all over the place because, as you see, him just standing outside of her car while she's dropping him off created all of these arrows. Many arrows in this area. Another thing to consider is that 9 minutes into key cycle 1162 is when the first event is triggered. The second event is triggered 19 minutes into the key cycle, and we were told by Officer Guarino today that he turns Waze on at the beginning of this pink line, and that is at 12:19. We know she passes the church at 12:15. Either way, my point is at 12:19 she enters here and makes it to the house by 12:25. So it takes her 6 minutes to get to the house, meaning it's going to take her the same. So it takes her 6 minutes to exit the neighborhood. That gets her back to the beginning of this pink line at, if she just drops him off and leaves at 26, she gets out of the neighborhood by 32. She has 4 minutes then to get another 1.5 miles home. In other words, there couldn't be 9 minutes or 8 minutes or so between the two events. She missed her turn. She turned around. She dropped him off. She turned around. She got out of the neighborhood. She got to her house and connected to the Wi-Fi by 12:36. She could not have been in that neighborhood for the time it takes. That's why they originally tried to put her there at 45, because she has to be there for an extra several minutes. Then they found out that she connected to the Wi-Fi, and so they had to change their story.
So in summary, everybody that read the report and you who authored the report believed, and it's reflected in that report, that key cycle 1162 contained the two triggers that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the 3-point turn, I guess now a 3-point turn, right? Changing direction, and then
Yes.
the reverse at 24 miles per hour, correct?
Correct.
And you even went on and testified to that exact thing under oath in front of the state grand jury, correct?
Yes.
Fair to say that you were not outside of 34 Fairview Road on January 29th, sometime around 12:20 to 12:30 a.m., is that correct?
That's correct.
And so fair to say that you don't know exactly how Mr. O'Keefe and or Glass or anything that he's holding interacted with the defendant's vehicle at that time?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that true?
I do not.
He cycles and essentially opines, anticipate he'll opine that around 12:45 in the morning when the vehicle was in front of the residence on Fairview.
I'm going to allow it.